Thank you.
Good morning, Holiness. Good morning. I would like to extend deep gratitude to you on accepting the invitation for an audience with the students of the British School. The British School is an international school in the heart of the Indian capital, New Delhi. It provides an excellent international education to students from over 68 nationalities. The students that are present here this morning are all aged between 11 and 14 years, and they are so excited for the interaction. The school supports students in their well-being and works in partnership with parents to build resilience in the young people in our care. This morning, we are very humbled that you will be sharing your thoughts on the topic of well-being and resilience. The importance of well-being and resilience has become all the more evident during the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic. Students have not been able to attend school since the last 10 months because of the restrictions imposed. During this time, they've been coping with the new normal, which includes limited outdoor physical activities and the inability to meet with friends and family, to name but a few. The whole world knows who His Holiness is and what you stand for: peace and unity. Across the world, people, young and old, look forward to your wisdom, advice, and help on a range of topics. The students here at the British School are also eagerly looking forward to taking away some pearls of wisdom on resilience and well-being. In fact, our whole school community is very excited to hear your thoughts this morning. So, without any further ado, Your Holiness, I now request you to address the audience.
Namaste.
Namaste.
Indeed, I'm very happy meet mainly Indian student. I have been your school, I think, diligently. Oh. So as you know, I myself, you see, from childhood education about Indian tradition, the Nalanda tradition. So mentally, every part of my brain filled by Indian thought, Indian tradition. Then this physical, the major portion of my life now spent in India. So this physical, you see, survived with Indian dal, Indian rice, Indian chapati. So I consider I'm son of India. The time passes. When I meet, you see, different people, particularly scientists, then I really, satisfy subject which we learned from Indian tradition. Really, everything logical analyze, not just faith. So the the Sanskrit word vipassana or kasa? Shamatha. Shamatha is the mind focusing on particular thing and remain that. At the vipassana, analyze. And then within Indian tradition, there are many ancient Indian tradition, such as Jain and also Sangha. Then, regarding Buddha Dharma, the originally Pali tradition, then gradually Buddha himself, you see, expressed to us, oh, my follower, monks, believer, should not accept my teaching out of faith, but rather thorough investigation. So, the Lord Buddha's follower eventually, like Nalendra, I think some people say, even at the time of Buddha, Nalendra, something small learning center, I heard. So then gradually, you see, that institution, you see, take interest about Buddhist philosophy. So eventually, Nalendra produced number of great scholars, such as Nagarjuna and Arya Asanga, and then about logic, Dignac, Dharmakirti, and then philosophy, also you see logic, the Chandrakirti. All these great master from Nalendra, they are really, you see, investigation. So today, I'm as a student of a Nalendra tradition. Everything, not faith, investigation. So now last more than 10 years,
40 years.
40 years, I have a serious discussion with scientists. So regarding about scientists, material thing, you see, they know very good. They still carry sort of investigation or experiment. But regarding mind, a modern scientist, you see, not much knowledge. In that respect, Nalendra tradition, Indian tradition, about mind, about emotion, very detailed explanation. And causes of these destructive emotion and causes of constructive emotion, all these very clear in Nalendra tradition. So many scientists now really appreciate our knowledge about our mind, about our emotion, and then how to tackle emotion. So number of scientists really, also they admire, you see, these 1,000-year-old India's tradition, mainly from, and then India also. Now, right from the beginning, I think 3,000 years ago, already, the India's concept, ahimsa, karuna. So ahimsa, you see, non-violence. And violence, physical level, verbal level, these violent action come from motivation. So the karuna is the key factor. Karuna there, non-violence come. Anger there, violence come. So therefore, over 3,000 years, this country already mentioned practice of shamatha, practice of vipassana. I think among the world or civilization, ancient India, earliest and very sophisticated, like that. So, so now today, I feel very happy and great honor to discuss with mainly Indian student. So now, I always say, expressing, India have the ability to combine modern education and ancient Indian knowledge. The modern India a little bit also neglect about ancient Indian knowledge. This is very much sort of also the learning about modern education. So as I mentioned earlier, the number of scientists now really showing interest about, you see, knowledge, mind, and you see, how to keep peace of mind, like that. So now India, like previous century, Mahatma Gandhiji, you see, show the world ahimsa. And now today, the young Indian, I think also the worthwhile to show how to keep peace of mind and related with karuna, not just a faith, reasoning. So young Indian, I think 21st century, I think you Indian can make certain contribution through revival of ancient yoga knowledge to make some contribution. The world, how to develop inner peace. Through inner peace, real peace will come. So everybody say, world peace, world peace. They reduce weapon, good, but real world peace related with our emotion, with our mind. So India can make significant contribution regarding peaceful world. Whenever we find some problem, you see, we, right from the beginning, we should carry the spirit of dialogue, not fighting. The Indian tradition, within India's own, like the Sangha philosophy and Jain philosophy, and so on. So a lot of discussions, a lot of argument. Then within Buddhism, also you see, among the scholar, a lot of sort of discussions. So that, you see, shows our brain is open, discuss. And through that way, we find dialogue. So among the Buddhist, Nalanda, particularly Nalanda tradition, the Pali tradition, mainly
scriptures.
Chiramawadam Todiba Kasa,
Vipashika Sutantika.
Vivashika, and Sodantika, about Pali tradition. Then Sanskrit tradition, Chitta Mantra, and Madhyamika. And then within these two subdivisions. So a lot of discussions. So really, when we read these texts, and we find some kind of beautiful garden, a lot of different flowers. Each have their own different color, different smell, something like that. So, 1,000-year-old the Nalanda tradition, you see the different philosophical views. Each one have some unique thing, like that. So therefore, now, frankly speaking, it is quite pity the recent centuries, the India a little bit neglected about this knowledge. So now, these young Indian, please now think more about your own 1,000-year-old tradition, and not just a puja or ritual, not that, the philosophical thinking. That's my wish and my request for you. So now some questions.
Your Holiness, I'd just like to clarify, please, to you that we are an international school. So amongst Indians, we have over 68 different nationalities. So we have students from all over the world that study in our school in New Delhi. So I'm now going to hand over to Mizaki Tomiyama, and she is going to lead you through the questions. Okay, so Mizaki, can I hand over to you, please?
Yes, Miss. Good morning, Your Holiness. I am Misaki Tomiyama, and I am from Japan. I will be introducing the people asking the questions today. So we will start off the questions with Avika Singhal.
Good morning, Your Holiness. Good morning, Your Holiness. My name is Avika Singhal, and I'm from India. There are many people who have been affected mentally and socially by the pandemic. Do you see any hope of the community bouncing back after the current scenario of COVID-19?
Kosa.
The name the game among which is a seven coming to Tobo Shed on Jizo and Jody J. Genshin Dante, or Steve Taji, and Jizo the lion that you normally see, Unity, you have a to yes.
This illness, Kosa. Pandemic.
No.
Oh. Now this, I feel something, not something new. I think among human history, human society, some different kind of illness come. Now this time, of course, now this particular sort of illness become a whole world, worldwide. And then India also. Now this, the special sort of scientist and doctors, you see, they really carry investigation and how to tackle this problem. So I very much appreciate these scientists and doctors, and including nurses. So now, I think comparatively, in India, this illness now, compare in India's population, number of population, now that much, and then also now reducing. So So now this we have to, particularly as I mentioned earlier, the nurses, doctors, and scientists, and also I think some sort of cooperation from Western scientists, Western sort of medical, or say the doctors like that. So there is no way we discourage. We must sort of carry with also the courage or self-confidence. And mainly, I think scientists and doctors now should, as you see, as now, they should put a lot of effort. So, if something happen, lose courage, that's the real failure. When we face some problem, we must develop our determination, our courage, and fight. So I just want to firstly thank those specialists, and I want to urge them, they must work hard as before.
Thank you so much, Your Holiness.
Thank you, Avika, for your interesting question. We now have Indigo Larmor.
Good morning, Your Holiness. I am Indigo Lama and I am from Ireland. My question for you is, how do you keep your mental well-being in good health and find positives with everything happening in the world at the moment?
Dharamsala.
是身体出现的要不请伝统的看的是求的是，但这个那最看的全部一年的上学呢，大当的，看的是前头不求的是。
I feel, you see, physical sort of element also related with our emotion. Our emotion, full of self-confidence and peace, calm, that affect our body also, I feel. There's too much anxiety, too much fear in mental level, that I think also is very harmful for physical element. So now, as is one ancient Indian master say, when we face some problem, we have to analyze the problem thoroughly. Then if there is a way to overcome, then with full of determination and courage, face it. If the problem, no way to overcome, then accept as a reality, instead of too much anxiety, anger, frustration. Instead of that, you just accept. So that's, I think, the Indian masters or realistic approach. When we face some problem, we must analyze thoroughly. So you should now continuously investigation this illness. I think that's a proper way, and not necessary to develop too much anxiety. You see, also too much frustration. And that should not, you see, should not develop. Remain calm mind and make every effort. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Holiness.
Thank you.
Thank you, Indigo. We all know how important mental well-being is. We now have Jessica Courts.
Good morning, Your Holiness. I'm Jessica Coates and I'm from England. And my question for you is, in today's world full of turmoil, do you think there will ever be a return to the peaceful conditions in the world?
I think yes, because you see many problems which we are facing is essentially our own creation. You see too much emphasis, we, I. So you see we need the sense of oneness of whole world, oneness of 7 billion human beings. Then those sort of problems which we create into too much emphasis, our nation, our religion, our community, and then create is a division and it's a competition, sometimes competition more violently. So therefore, since those problems which our own creation on the basis of too much emphasis we and they, now that we should develop sense of oneness of 7 billion human beings, automatically reduce. Then religion, sometimes religion also cause, different religion also is causing some problem. For that, India's 1,000-year India's tradition, all different religion or different sort of concept and different philosophy, but all carry same message of love. So India, over 1,000 years, the all world religions now exist here. For example, Muslim, within Muslim, Shia and Sunni. In this country, I never heard complaint from Sunni side to Shia, Shia side to Sunni. I never heard any problem. But your neighbor, like Afghanistan and Syria in this area, same Muslim, follower of the same Allah, same Quran, but fighting. So this country, over 1,000 years, all these different religions live together, mutual respect, sometimes mutual learning. So that's India's greatness. So you should pay more attention religious harmony which exists in this country, and then show rest of the world religion, different religion can live together, and different philosophy, different concepts, but all carry same message of compassion, message of karuna. So, since these problems which created by human being, we human being create some concept, then these problems automatically reduce. Here, as I mentioned earlier, India sort of pluralism about religion, different religion, but live together. I think that the concept of one religion, one truth, then the problem. But this country, over 1,000 years, several truths, several religion. Okay.
Thank you, Your Holiness.
Thank you, Jessica, for your question. Tejas Sagu will now ask his question.
Good morning, Your Holiness. I am a British citizen. My question for you is, we all know that it's very important to improve our mental and spiritual health for our development. How can this be achieved by children our age?
성명에 따지 샘당 제와 요바다 최적 제와 요바디 소소 열개 땅에 토르지 그고 요바지 신경을 왔어. 이내서 코란zul로 이제 부족이 디저 컨디션 양내 저거스 나린다고 있어.
Now existing education. Now here, although I briefly already mentioned the modern education, you see, mainly materialistic and Christian Islam. These more close relation. The India, ancient time, as I already mentioned, many different philosophy, different sort of as a concept. So these, as now, according Indian, secular. So you see, religion related with individual, but these different religion, as a sort of part of human knowledge, then academic subject. We learn these things, and you see, keep because of the harmony, mutual learning. So these, I think, you see, we can make, you see, distinction. One, you see, our own created problem, including different religious tradition or different philosophy, and we respect each individual having their own right to choose. Even you see, economic system or political system, India quite open. Then another is a problem, global warming. These are beyond our control. Little bit, of course, they too much use coal or these things. So I always express now we should use clean power, solar system, solar energy, and then wind power. We have a certain sort of technique, certain knowledge there. So we should not sort of rely on using coals or these things. So some, my friend, they say within next few decades, global warming reach such a level that most of these big rivers will dry. And like Tibet, almost, I think, source of water, whole Asia, almost whole Asia. Now, the Tibet, because climate condition change, some experts say, eventually Tibet will become something like Afghanistan, dry. So that also is a very serious matter. When all these water dry, then very difficult for survival. Without water, very difficult. So that's one serious matter. Now many people really showing interest about ecology in order to keep our planet more living. So that's one problem. So I'm regarding Tibet. I always now showing concern about preservation of Tibetan ecology. You see, Tibet once dry, then the river, which major river in India and China and Southeast Asia, so very important Tibetan ecology to keep this water. So that's something, a very serious matter. Particularly when I heard you said that scholar, now global warming, after a few decades, things become really serious. So that's, we really make effort. Okay, then next question.
Thank you, Tejas. We will now have a question from Lola.
Good morning, Your Holiness. My name is Lola Pasharis, and I'm from England. My question is, how do we practice compassion in this pandemic when we are supposed to stay away from everyone?
The concept of brotherhood, sisterhood, actually entire human being truly are brothers, sisters. So mentally, you see, keep sense of concern of all our human brothers, sisters. That's actually, I think, now some scientists say the human being are a social animal. Any social animal, you see, loving kindness each other by birth, already there. So we, as a social animal, so now today, because of economy, worldwide, global economy, everything interdependent, interconnected. So now no longer say just my nation, just my community. Now, according to reality, we have to think about global economy, global human being, human brothers, sisters. So these, I think, the reality. In ancient time, we little bit isolated, so always say my nation, my nation. Now today's world, you see, worldwide, you see, interdependency, like that. So.
Thank you, Your Holiness.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lola. We now have Asmi Agarwal.
Good morning, Your Holiness. I am from India. My question is, how can you keep being resilient with all the bad things going on in the world? How do you ward off all of that negativity?
그래서 as I mentioned earlier, you see, one problem, more or less, nature event. That, as I mentioned earlier, global warming, these things, we simply, you see, try to keep our determination to take care about our world ecology, these things. Then another sort of problem, essentially our own creation, like war, conflict. These are our own creation. So, as I already mentioned, you see, Indian 1,000-year-old tradition, ahimsa, karuna, promote these things. Then these violence automatically reduce. So, two kinds. One, more or less nature event. So we simply, you see, try our, because of the courage or determination to face these problems. Then man-made problem, you see, we have to make effort to promote karuna and ahimsa. And ultimately, you see, a sense of oneness of one world, oneness of human being. Okay.
Thank you, Your Holiness.
Thank you, Asmi, for your question. Your Holiness, I am going to ask the next question. My name is Misaki. Everyone keeps saying living mindfully is what one should do. Please explain what is mindfulness and how one can practice it in everyday life.
Usually we describe mindfulness when we carry our sort of every action, I think mainly verbal action. You see, sometimes we just, you see, use some sort of, a negative word and hurt other people and unnecessarily create suspicion like that. So, for our verbal action, say mindfulness, whether I use the proper word, which you see no causing some distrust or fear, or so each our word, you see, one part of our mind, mindfulness, what I'm saying, what I'm using word. So, and then when we walk, mindfulness, like Karsa, Chirubu, Jain, you see, Jain practitioner, when they walk, you see, very mindful. You see, whether you see some small insect there or not, always you see very sort of mindfulness, such sort of practice. These are not just religious practice. You see, in order to carry your whole life, something nice, never sort of create a problem. Not only human being, but also animal, insects. So mindfulness, very important. And particularly, you see, when we talk, our word, and also you see mindfulness about our own facial sort of expression. See, your friend, you see, when you see show the face, something sarcastic face, or even a smile, it's a sarcastic smile, like that. Then that, you see, creates uncomfortable. So like that, physical action, verbal action, you see, mindfulness, any sort of my action is really create some distrust or some uncomfortable or not. So mindfulness, and not only, you see, daily, daytime, but mindfulness eventually in dream time. When you are dreaming, mindfulness comes. So mindfulness about our action, about our mind or thought, very useful, very useful. Okay.
Thank you, Your Holiness. Sol Hui Han will ask the next question.
Good morning, Your Holiness. I am Seoli from South Korea. If you could spread only one message about resilience and well-being, what would it be?
가르사.
대지 가세 동네치야 다 이제 수수 류다 셈 대부친 내야 된다라 대지 겨울은 붙이기 랍제 집 라지 나야 일단 신라 배야 이번에 랍제데 가리 나야 이나스.
I usually saying concept of oneness of 7 billion human beings, then automatically you get some kind of feeling of human brothers. Entire human being are our brothers, sisters. So that concept and reality also is we have to live together. And then with sense of brotherhood, sisterhood, and keep sense of concern about well-being of other. So through that way, we can develop happy human community, finally happy humanity. So that's something important. Then mindfulness for student, when we study, you see, our mind focusing on the subject. When you study, you see, or when you study, a teacher explaining, the student, although physical on the chair, but mind look this side, this side, this side. Then you see, without mindfulness, the subject not will remain, not remain in our mind. So mindfulness for education in class, very important. Then daily life, mindfulness, my attitude towards my student, brothers, sisters, student, what kind of my sort of attitude, what kind of my word, these things. So mindfulness, very important. Just, you see, watch your own mental action, physical action, verbal action. So many action, you see, due to your own habit. So some negative thing, due to some habit, you see, usually possibly come. So mindfulness, I should not use this kind of word, this kind of physical action like that. Okay.
Thank you. Our final question is from Suhani.
Good morning, Your Holiness. My name is Sahani Ranier, and I am from England. My question is, do you ever think it's okay not to be resilient, to just give up? Or do you think it's important to always maintain resilience, even in the hardest times?
가서.
가서 연장하지
가래.
년장 지기 뒤주기 제 qabla 수센된 지금 뭐 제대 가르쳐내 줘서 뢰당해서 지나 되게 연하시 하면은 수센된 진이 다시 디토 동네 지역에 다시 제국이 연하게
I think as long as way to overcome, we must make effort. Without that, eventually you get regret. Then, when you face certain problem beyond your control, then you see completely discouraged. Also, is not good. Now, my own case, 1959, when I escaped from Nurbulinga, you see, looks almost hopeless, but keep determination. Then eventually, they overcome these problems. So my own experience, now for example, 1959, March 17th night, I escape with the feeling whether I can see next day or not, but determined and escape. Facing worst kind of sorrow, I say danger, determined, and then eventually overcome this problem. And then when we reach India as a refugee, there are a lot of problems, but we keep our determination and believe truth. And particularly in this country, historically, we have very close link. So therefore, now over
61 years. Over 61 years.
100,000. 100,000 Tibetans. 100,000 Tibetans.
Yes, 100,000 Tibetans. You see, of course, we historically very close link, and mentally, it's very close. On that, we kept our determination. Eventually, we developed our own community, carrying all work for preservation of Tibetan culture, ancient Tibetan knowledge, which come from Nalanda. All these, we kept. So with determination, now after several decades now, we quite well established now here in India. All these knowledge, over 1,000 students, mainly monk students and non-students, they really kept all these 1,000-year-old knowledge or Nalanda from India. And then including an early 59, we asked Indian government, since we Tibetan have our own language, our own script, so we need separate Tibetan school. The government of India fully support. So now we kept our language, and in that language, those sophisticated philosophy or these knowledge we kept. Now here, mainly in South India, famous Tibetan monastic institution now re-established here in India. We carry continuously. All these are knowledge which need at least 20, 30 years study. I myself also, one of the students study. Firstly, the root text learned by heart. memorize, and then commentary, and different commentary, and commentary sometimes to see critical view each other and debate. Very useful, such commentary. So we kept all these almost, I think, unique knowledge. Ancient day come from India, 8th century. The Shanta Rakshita brought from Nalanda tradition. We kept these things. I think you may not know the 7th century Tibetan king married with Chinese princess. But he, you see, prefer we should have our own script, our own language. I think he found too complicated the Chinese letter. So 7th century King Songtse Gampo decided we should create our own script, copy from Devanagari and alphabet. So then 8th century, since we have our own language, our own script, and then Shanta Rakshita, you see, advice, since you have your own language, your own script, so instead of study Sanskrit or Pali, you should translate all these texts in Tibetan own language. So altogether, 300 volumes, Buddha's own word, about 100 volumes. Then commentary, the Nalanda master, mainly Nalanda master, about 200. So all these in Tibetan language. So we have our own language, and all those ancient Indian sort of knowledge, also they mentioned in these texts. So, as I mentioned earlier, I asked Government of India, so they fully not only agree but support financially our school like that. So we, as the refugee community, we kept all these ancient knowledge very much alive, like that. So firstly, I must say gratitude to Government of India and the leaders, Pandit Nehru, Indira Gandhi ji, and Lal Bahadur Shastri, and so on. All are very sympathetic, and till present Indian government officials, very, very supportive, very sympathetic. Okay.
Thank you, Your Holiness. Thank you. I've got a few more questions that I'd like to ask you from some students that aren't here. So the first one is, have you ever felt angry? And if so, how did you overcome that? And that's from a student, a 13-year-old student called Samaira Khanna.
Karsa. More serious anger, you see, I think reasons. For example, the Chinese hardliner, you see, sometimes, you see, killing Tibetan, many Tibetan, thousands Tibetan killed, and also try to brainwash. But, you see, not much sort of anger. Sometimes you feel also the pitches way. Ninja sambarchi. Ka. It's in their own sort of short-sighted ignorance. So, you see, instead of anger, feel sympathy, like that. And then one Shanta Rakshita, great scholar, he mentioned, enemy is best teacher. From enemy, you can develop patience. So enemy is teacher of patience. It mentioned, it's very true. Shantideva, yes. Shantideva, you mentioned that. So then, small things, when I get very sound sleep, then mosquito come. And then sometimes I feel a little bit sort of the drastic way, dramatic action, like that. And then sometimes you see the mosquito come, then wait. When mosquito you see touch down, like that. That's very occasion. Nowadays, of course, my house also you see, kasa net, kasa.
Mosquito net.
So no problem. So, and basically, as a sort of Buddhist practitioner, every sentient being is a mother sentient being. We must sort of respect their life like that. So these are very helpful to keep peace of mind. Thank you. Next.
Your Holiness, we would like to thank you for gracing us with your presence this morning. And I will now hand over to Mr. Mark Tate, our secondary school principal, to say a few words.
Good morning, Your Holiness. So can I say, Your Holiness, on behalf of the British School, the director, governors, students, and the whole school community, we thank you for your presence today, for this morning. The thread of many questions that we've been hearing from students has all been about looking at our current situation and beyond. It's been wonderful to listen to you because you have shown your depth and breadth of knowledge is a large lake that all young people can drink from and learn from. You have shown the importance of using historical perspective to contextualize current events, which are very profound for many of us, to consider positive ways forward and end to become the future that we wish it to be. Thank you very, very much.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
We finished at that point now, I believe, everybody. Ms. Sota, can I hand back to you because I believe this now comes to an end.
Okay. Education, not only material thing, but also education about our own emotion. Then how to tackle our emotion. The quantum physics also very useful now. The things appears something objectively, but if you investigate, nothing exists as appears. That's quantum physicists, they say. So if we investigate things just as a small particle, finally, your own mental level, you consider this is something good, this is something bad. But actually, mentally, you see, creation, that kind of thing. The objectively nothing. That the Buddhist philosophy, Buddhist psychology, also you see, clearly mentioned. You see, when we develop anger, attachment, mainly you see, based on appearances. If we investigate, then you see there is no solid basis, so-called enemy and friend. So there's something grasping, something independent enemy, not there. Similarly, friend, not basis of attachment. So these quantum physics and similar, the Nalanda Buddhist master, also that way to analyze everything interdependent. One thing, different aspect, different side, we can see differently. So therefore, the negative emotions such as anger, attachment, just grasp one side, not holistic. So these are very useful. So one my Indian friend, Raja Ramana, I remember once he told me, quantum physics in the West, something new. In this country, over 2,000 years already developed. This is that concept. It's very true. Yeah, particularly at that time, also you see, he recite some verses of Nagarjuna. Things are interdependent and a different aspect. So negative emotion, just to pick one side, not holistic view, like that. So thank you. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
See you again when this illness, also
subsides.
Gradually
disappear.
Disappear. Then I'm very, very eager to go to Delhi and meet some of the professors or students like Jawaharlal Nehru University and some other university. I'm very, very eager, you see, to discuss. And some professors, educationists, say how to revive ancient Indian knowledge in modern India. So I'm very, very determined to discuss. Now, modern India, I think the modern education in this country introduced by Westerner. So you now should think more about, you see, ancient Indian own knowledge and then combine the modern education in ancient Indian education. That I feel very important. So, thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.